may I discuss? May I open discussion?
Okay.
Once it's seconded, you can.
Yes,
Second.
he did.
Before I was on the board, after our former general manager left, a certain director here requested of that board, I wasn't on it, to have the computer that she used, to have her hard drive downloaded. The board approved this request, and the board paid for this, as far as I know. Also, as far as I know, this information really is Galaxy property. However, I believe that it remains in the hands of one director. I believe this information should be made available to all the directors, not just one, and therefore, I hope the board approves turning over this information contained on this hard drive to Jan, so all board members may access it at will.
Can I comment, please? Okay, number one, I want everybody to know that this is property of GTCA, number one. Number two, those tapes are here in the GTCA office. They never left the GTCA office, and anybody who wants to be privy to them, by AR-25, they can go, have them. I believe, I'm not sure, but they are here in the office. Nobody has them privately. I want to make it very clear. They were, as soon as they were done, they were always on the property of GTCA. Nobody had them private in their homes or
Point of
in any
information.
ways of that.
Where are they?
Okay.
They are here. I don't know. Mary Ellen has them.
I am
That's
I'm the director in question. I am the director who requested permission of association to go back and to open up the hard drive which was damaged, etc., etc. In order for me to be reimbursed, I had to give it to Mary Ellen Sachs with the instruction that she sealed this particular thing with this hard drive and CDs, and I gave it to her, and I received my payment. And this is, so they are in the accounting office, as well as many other things. And this is very interesting situation, and this just goes to the extent, unfortunately, of the animosities here. This question was never posed, not in telephone conversation, not via email, not in closed session. We're gonna get your attitude.
Point of information.
We're gonna get your attitude is wonderful.
Can't interrupt.
Okay.
Wonderful, but it is not, I believe it is not appropriate, and hopefully with the new board we'll be able to achieve a little bit better.
I have a point of information. Don't I get to go because I have a point of information, or
Yeah.
not?
Point of information is
Excuse me,
to
I
ask a
just-
question through the chair.
Okay,
Go ahead.
and I have to phrase this in a question, because, is it possible that Mr. Lerner is mistaken? Because I myself have seen quite a few emails regarding this topic, and regarding the fact that, that one director has these tapes, and why aren't they shared? And I have seen emails like this, and I can produce them. And no answer was ever forthcoming. No, and Mr. Lerner never wrote back. He said, "Oh no, they're in the accounting." No, nothing. It was always ignored.
Now, I
Okay.
want to make a statement.
No.
Nothing wrong with what you said, but it's perfectly all right, but you should not have made it through a point of information. A point of information is a question to get information.
Okay, I apologize, but I did forward it as a president.
Excuse me.
Is
Okay.
it possible he made the
Is
mistake?
it possible? Yes, but that's a rhetorical question.
All right, I agree.
Okay.
Mrs. Tokay has the floor.
It is not true that nobody's ever asked for this material. When, shortly after I joined the board in April last year, I asked to see this material, and I was informed by the former president that yes, it did exist, and if I would request it, it would be made available, but it was never made available to me, and I do not know where it is. I do not know how to access it. And I also have seen some emails referring to it, and I've heard conversations referring to it. I don't really know what's in there, but if it's something that concerns the GTCA, then obviously it should be available.
Well, I think it's real important that those, that hard drive and the emails are secured, because contrary to what Mr. Lerner said, they did get out of the office, because I was living in Edgewater, at the time, and I saw them. I'm not gonna say the name of the resident that gave me them, but they did leave the office. And if they were used for the purpose that they were intended to, which I believe was to find some impropriety in the contract or something like that, that's fine. But when you start using them to go after residents, using their personal emails that they sent to the manager and use it to intimidate and embarrass people, that's the danger part.
Okay.
And that has to stop. And that's why that hard drive should be put away or given to the attorney or Mr. Van Bergen, so that nobody gets that, because it's the privacy of the residents that we have to protect.
Okay.
Thomas, I suggest you call Mary Ellen Sachs and ask her, because this hard drive was everything which was picked up by the from the office who recovery company was surrendered to Mary Ellen
Yes.
Sachs, and it's
Yes.
remained
I saw it.
a property and in GDC.
Okay. Question, is it a hard drive or did they dump it down on tape? Because the
There
hard drive was
there
down
is no
on
tape. There was a hard drive and CD.
No.
Point of information.
Actually, two CDs.
It could be
It's-
Mr. Fulfa knows.
And it's
Point of information takes precedence.
I'm just wondering who was using these emails to intimidate owners and so forth.
Who?
Yes,
Mr. Leonard.
to intimidate owners?
question, point of
Yes.
information.
Just
How
a
do you
minute,
know that
just a
the
minute.
information which you suggest that I intimidated owners came from the hard drive in question? How do you
From
know?
the person who wrote it, that's how. I saw the
I
email.
think this,
You accuse
How
somebody
do you know
without
this?
being.
Okay, guys,
Because it was an
It's
email.
Mike,
It's
It's
you
sent by
accuse-
the person that you
I'm
did it
point
to.
of order.
Yeah,
Point
that's
of
point
right.
of order,
point of order. We're getting it. I don't want any names.
Asked
I don't
and
want
answered.
any names
Right, he's
in
accusing.
open
It's
session.
I didn't give
Let
any
him
names.
accuse.
Okay.
He asked the
He
question.
has nothing
Okay.
else
Yes,
to
you
do.
accuse without knowing.
yes.
Okay, now, what was the,
The
This is
motion was to make
ridiculous.
the
we have to
motion.
find out where the information is.
Yes,
Right.
and certain directors like Mr. Lerner have used that information, so
Okay.
obviously he has access,
Okay.
and the rest of
I
us do
got
not.
it, I got it. Okay,
Got
so
it.
we have to find out where it is, and it goes to,
Mr. Von Bergen,
on the lock and key.
yes.
All right.
Shall we vote? There was a motion. Turn it
Okay.
over to him.
Okay,
You only have to vote?
I will prefer to stay
Point of
in the
order.
accounting to, excuse me,
Point of
because
order.
this is,
Just
Wait a minute.
Was
Wait a
Feeney
minute.
Hold on.
recognized?
he said to me
Yes.
that I can speak. I would have preferred, because it's a GTCA, property, to stay in the accounting with Mr. Fulfa.
okay.
Thomas, may I say one thing?
Yes.
Excuse
I
me,
just-
Feeney,
Wait a
if
minute.
you would prefer, the thing to do is to make an amendment to the
Oh,
motion.
okay,
Okay.
Well,
Otherwise, there's nothing comes from
Oh.
what you want.
okay. Can I make an amendment?
Sure.
Well, can I just say something first?
Okay.
Let Feeney,
Wait,
Well,
I think-
it has something to do with what Vinny's suggesting, so, I'm against it staying in the accounting office for a very good reason. Mr. Van Bergen doesn't have a key, or neither does security, to the accounting office. And, you know, if we're gonna amend the motion, I think we should amend the motion that the manager of this complex should have the key to the accounting office, and why he doesn't is beyond me.
I'm
So
gonna
what has
cloud
to
that
do
motion
the,
with
Just a
just
minute,
one
just a
second,
minute.
what
Wait
has
a
to
minute.
do
Wait a
the
minute,
key?
wait a
I
minute.
don't understand.
everybody slow down for a minute.
Okay,
What happened was that Feeney made a motion which is an amendment to the original motion, to Luann's
She
motion.
never,
She
she
didn't
never
make
made a
it.
motion.
She
No,
didn't
wait a
make
minute.
it. Ended.
She was in the process of making the motion.
Okay.
We stopped
And
her.
Mike asked to speak.
Right.
But what Mike
That's
did
true.
was to speak on Feeney's amendment before the amendment was made.
Okay.
Okay, now,
you did?
Feeney, are you making the
Yes,
amendment?
I would make the amendment that, the motion that, the tapes, whenever you ask Mary Ellen where they are, to stay with Mr. Fofa in the accounting as a property of GTCA, and that's it.
Okay.
I'll second
Now,
the motion.
is there a second? Okay. Now, what we're talking about in discussion now is Feeney's amendment. And there will come a time to vote on the amendment. I can vote on the amendment before you get back to the